And I think to myself, what a wonderful day!
What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another videos. Today I've got my review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I was able to see the movie early. These are my honest thoughts. Before I get into this thing, be sure to hit that like button and comment down below your thoughts on this movie as well as your expectations or predictions if you have not yet seen it. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. If you want to watch movies and TV shows with me, you can do so on my Patreon. I drop commentary tracks over there. I'm currently working my way through Fallout. My commentary tracks for every single episode of Stranger Things are out now as well. And I've done a few movies too, so I'm having fun with it. I'd love to have you guys join the community over there. Any support goes a very long way. So real quick, I actually rewatched the Planet of the Apes trilogy from 2011 to 2017 in preparation for this. I hadn't visited it since 2017, leading up to War for the Planet of the Apes. It was a really refreshing experience to go back and visit what I now believe to be one of the finest trilogies of the century so far. But moving into Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, it's set years after the events of War for the Planet of the Apes and the entire Apes trilogy, so it's essentially a new story. And I have a lot of thoughts. I'm gonna start with some of my pros though. Visually, this movie is impressive yet again. The motion capture technology used here is out of this world, I'll be honest. There are scenes in this film where characters are submerged in water and the fur just looks so hyper realistic. It's like Avatar: The Way of Water levels wow when it comes to how impressive the visual effects are in this film. You can book it. This will get nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars. That's something we've kind of come to expect with these Apes films, right? But perhaps my favorite concept in this movie is seeing the impact of Caesar's legacy generations later. This idea of blindly following false leaders and twisting the words of a savior figure are both presented in this film. And while I don't think they went as in-depth as they should have, more on that later, the fact that they just present these ideas in this world was really cool to see because over the course of 3 movies in the trilogy, we got to see Caesar go from the hidden offspring of this science experiment essentially to the savior of all apes. And so, of course, he's the most important figure in this world. So generations later, seeing other apes deal with it and how they're so disconnected from his time that they don't even know what a book is hardly. It was really cool to see how the apes treated Caesar, for better or for worse. You still have those loyal to Caesar, and then you've got a whole group of apes out there who think they're following Caesar the right way, but in reality, they've got everything mixed up. The character of Proximus Caesar was a real standout here. Kevin Durand crushed it because this character just commands the screen whenever he enters the frame. You're like, okay, things are heating up. Not only does he have like this deep, booming voice that really hones you into every word he's saying, but he's proclaimed himself as this new Caesar, essentially ruling over these people, this kingdom, if you will. And it's real interesting to see why he feels like he deserves to be sitting on the throne ruling over all apes. But I'd say the scene stealer in this film is the character Raka, who just provides so much wisdom to the main character Noah. In fact, in my early screening, the actor Peter Macon actually showed up and spoke about the film before it started. With that being said, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has lots of excellent ideas, but ultimately there's a surface level exploration of them, leaving me pretty underwhelmed with this entry. In fact, I have a lot of gripes with this movie that I hinted at in my out of theater reaction, so we're about to dive into the cons. This is just my personal opinion. Please go watch this movie and form your own opinion. To me, one of my biggest gripes with this film was that it lacked any compelling characters in my mind. It sort of throws us in the middle of the action from the jump, and there's like 3 apes on screen, and I was like, why should I care about any of these characters? Like, the dynamic of this group is explored, but it's all so quick and rushed through that I really felt no connection to anyone. There are a lot of characters and moving pieces in this film that made it really hard to latch onto any characters or fully feel anything for any of them, unfortunately. Like, the fact that they're apes in this world is not enough. There has to be some depth to these characters, and I felt like that was absent here. You know, I mentioned Proximus Caesar and Raka, and those are probably the 2 standout characters in the film, but they don't have enough screen time. They should have been the main focus almost, because the route they took with the new main protagonist was rather surprising to me. And while the visuals in the mocap department are out of this world per usual with this franchise, I will say that the movie itself didn't really have a clear directorial style style or vision. It more so felt like this movie was pumped out by a group of directors with clashing ideas. So there's no like clear directorial presence with this film where one person's style just shines through. So as a result, we got a pretty bland movie in my mind. From a technical standpoint, yes, the apes look hyper realistic, but the world they're in, specifically the set pieces, fell really flat for me. It's almost like the movie was holding itself back. It's this post-apocalyptic world where the apes rule, right? Will we explore a tiny village or this small area on a beach with Proxima Caesar? Like, that scale of some of the other Apes films was really missing here. The world felt much smaller than it actually is, which frustrated me a bit. And I'll come right out and say it even if everyone else disagrees. I thought this movie was horribly paced. It's 2 hours and 25 minutes, and to me it easily felt like it was 3+ hours. I don't want to go on a whole side rant right now about the current runtime of movies, but oftentimes, specifically in the summer, if you look at summer of 2023, so many movies have 2.5 hour plus runtimes for no good reason. Dial of Destiny, Dead Reckoning Part 1. The list goes on with these big blockbuster films with massive budgets having really long runtimes, and oftentimes I think it's unwarranted. That's a conversation for another time regarding why films continue to flop. I firmly believe that long of a runtime makes it harder to sell the common moviegoer to go and buy a ticket. Topic for another time. When it comes to the pacing, there are certain dialogue-driven scenes that work for me, but at the same time, the movie doesn't have much action. Now, it's not pitched as this action-adventure film, but I'm trying to temper expectations for those of you watching this video who want to go see this movie. I want to let you know up front, this is not a Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. This is not a War for the Planet of the Apes. It's very tame in the action, even adventure department. There's a lot of dialogue-driven scenes here. Some of them work, some of them really dragged on for me, but I'm letting you know right now, don't expect much in that department. I'll tip my hat to this movie for attempting to explore the current state of humanity generations later as we've seen the evolution of this virus. But to me, the storyline felt pretty meaningless at the end of the day. There's this character named May who is like the main human of the film, if you will, and her role was really weird to me. I can't say too much about it. The route they take her in, the direction she goes by the end of the movie, felt pretty out of left field, and I honestly, as the credits rolled, was kind of like, where are we headed with that, if anywhere? Bizarre choice in my opinion. It's really a shame because the few standout characters that I mentioned earlier just didn't have a prominent enough role. If they made a movie where Proxima Caesar was the main character and someone alongside him was a co-lead, right? And we saw their clashing viewpoints on the world and how the apes should live out their lives, that would have been a lot more engaging in my opinion than what we ended up getting, which was like a 2.5 hour, overly long, bland watch. Now the director of this film is Wes Ball, who did the Maze Runner trilogy. I watched those a few months back for the first time. They provide entertainment, but fail to really hit home on those major emotional beats and deeper concepts. That's exactly how I feel about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. At first glance, yes, the visuals, specifically the mocap, out of this world. I commend everyone who was involved in that department because they crushed it yet again. And there's even some ideas here that I really dug. But the story as a whole and the events that occur in this film come off as fairly inconsequential in the greater picture of the Apes universe, which just left me straight up disappointed as the credits rolled. The moments of greatness this film provides are outnumbered by the mediocrity in my mind, and that was just really upsetting. But those are just my honest thoughts on Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Let me know yours in the comments down below and hit that like button. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. And if you want to watch movies and TV shows with me, you can do so on my Patreon, where I watch movies and shows, do commentary tracks. Love that community over there, so consider showing some support. It would mean a lot. And I'll end with this. This is just my opinion. When I review movies, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. It's just how I honestly feel about the movie. I have my opinion, you have your opinions. That's really all there is to it. We're just talking about movies at the end of the day. Just because I feel one way about a movie doesn't mean you have to feel one way about a movie. If you haven't seen this movie, just because I said something doesn't mean you have to take what I said and run with it. Please go watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, support it, make your own opinion. If you're a fan of the Apes trilogy, you will find something to like in this film. You might even love it, so go watch it. I'm just sharing my honest opinion with you guys. I don't know how much clearer I can make that, because oftentimes people will say, well, you didn't like this movie, so I'm not gonna like this movie. That doesn't mean a thing. Just because I say something doesn't mean at all that you have to take that and run with it. Also, it's okay to disagree. Just because I don't like something, but a lot of other people out there love this movie right now, that doesn't mean we hate each other's guts. We can be civil. I feel like that just gets lost in social media sometimes. Anyway, thank you guys as always for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.